The restaurant glittered with crystal lights and quiet wealth, yet one man sat completely alone at the center table, surrounded by silence thicker than glass. While laughter and clinking glasses filled the air for everyone else, the deaf millionaire felt none of it, only the familiar heaviness in his chest that came every night when success could not buy connection. He was known by magazines, feared by competitors, envied by strangers, but unseen, unheard, and untouched by the world that admired him from afar. Before the story unfolds further, pause for a moment. If you believe kindness still matters in a world obsessed with status, if you believe second chances can change lives, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that touch the soul. The millionaire had built his empire through discipline, sharp instincts, and endless hours of isolation. Losing his hearing in his early 20s after a sudden illness had changed everything. Friends slowly faded away, conversations became exhausting, and relationships felt like fragile glass ready to shatter at the smallest misunderstanding. So he leaned into work, letting numbers and contracts replace voices and laughter. Restaurants like this one were chosen not for company but for routine, for the comfort of predictability. Every Thursday night, same table, same meal, same silence around him. Staff moved quickly, practiced and polished, trained to serve without lingering. Among them was a cleaning lady who arrived later than the wait staff, always unnoticed, always invisible. She wore tired shoes and carried the weight of long nights on her shoulders, cleaning floors others dirtied without a second thought. That evening, she had no choice but to bring her baby along, wrapped close against her chest. Childcare had fallen through again, and missing work meant missing rent. She hoped to stay unseen, to finish quickly, to disappear before anyone complained. The baby, however, had different plans. As the mother cleaned quietly near the dining area, the child's wide eyes took in the glowing lights, the polished floors, and finally settled on the solitary man at the center table. There was something about his stillness, about the way he watched the world without reacting to its sounds, that fascinated the baby. Without warning, the baby began to move, stretching small arms outward, drawn toward the one person in the room who felt strangely familiar. The mother froze, fear tightening her chest. She expected irritation, security, humiliation. She had lived her life apologizing for existing in spaces that didn't want her. But before she could retreat, the unthinkable happened. The baby leaned forward and began clapping softly, rhythmically, not making noise but movement, pure, intentional movement. Eyes locked on the millionaire, the man noticed instantly. Not because of sound, but because motion was his language. He looked up, surprised, and for the first time that evening, his expression changed. The baby smiled, a wide, fearless smile, and continued clapping, then waved clumsily, as if greeting an old friend. Something deep inside the millionaire cracked open. He recognized that language. It was the same instinctive expression he had used as a child before the world taught him he was different. Memories flooded him without warning. Hospital rooms. Doctors' faces heavy with sympathy. The moment he realized silence was permanent. The years of people talking over him, around him, but rarely to him. Yet here was a baby who did not hesitate, who did not judge, who did not care about wealth, status, or disability. Only presence. Time seemed to slow as the millionaire gently responded with his hands, mirroring the baby's movements, forming simple gestures he hadn't used in public for years. The baby squealed with joy, kicking tiny feet, recognizing connection. Other diners noticed something was happening, though they didn't fully understand it. The mother stood frozen, tears filling her eyes as she watched her child bridge a gap she herself had never crossed. That night marked a quiet turning point. The millionaire did not suddenly become loud or social, but something fundamental shifted. He began to notice the cleaning lady's exhaustion, her dignity, the way she worked without complaint. He saw himself reflected in her invisibility. Over the following weeks, without announcements or charity headlines, changes happened. Policies shifted within his company to support working parents. Scholarships quietly funded programs for children with disabilities. The restaurant staff noticed the millionaire smiling more, staying longer, acknowledging people with nods and gentle gestures. The cleaning lady's life began to change too, though she didn't understand why at first. Her work hours became more stable. Someone from management helped her enroll in night classes. A safe childcare option appeared, fully covered, no questions asked. She never connected the dots, never assumed kindness was aimed at her. She simply accepted it with gratitude, focusing on giving her baby a future brighter than her own past. For the millionaire, Thursdays were no longer about routine. They became reminders that connection did not require sound, that humanity spoke in many languages: movement, kindness, attention. He started dining earlier, sometimes just to see the baby wave from afar before heading home. The loneliness that once sat like a permanent shadow began to loosen its grip. Years later, long after the baby had grown and the cleaning lady had moved on to a better life, the millionaire would still think about that night. About how a child too young to understand wealth or disability had taught him what the world never could. That silence did not mean absence, and being seen mattered more than being heard. If this story has touched something inside you, if it reminded you of the quiet power of kindness, please take a moment now to like the video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel so these stories continue to reach hearts that need them. And before this story ends, we have a special request for you. Please comment below and tell us, do you believe small moments can change a life? The man who once dined alone never forgot the baby who saw him, truly saw him, when the world only saw his wealth. And in that simple, wordless connection, 2 lives changed forever, proving that sometimes the most powerful miracles arrive without sound, carried instead by the pure, fearless language of the heart.